Hey everybody. Over the next couple weeks while all my stuff comes in for everything I need to finish kind of these things, I wanted to touch on some stuff that I haven't really gone over much yet that we're going to be getting into, or that I will be. Previously, and I don't even know if it was on this channel, I've used many channels, but I had to start using this for something else. I released things like this for a photonic bit and explained how they worked. And I also released this, which I'm going to kind of cover real quick. But all these things kind of tie together, plus some other stuff I'm going to be showing over the next couple of weeks. So before we continue, I'm just going to kind of go over some of the things we've been covering so far and show what we've been doing. All right, so if I'll remember, we have been working on this. Everything ran in series, so when it gets high enough voltage, it'll kick on. Remember, we're only at 10 watts output going in. I don't really have any of this secured still yet. And here comes the lights. We're at 11 watts, 2 volts, 6 amps, 11 watts. And we're at 110 volts. And as you can see, I'm gonna hopefully just let this go without it kind of messing around. My spacer fell out, my bad. That's why. But as you can see, I'm gonna get this spacer in real quick. Okay, so we're at a steady 120 volts from 12 watts in, and we got steady power from that. So that's what we've been doing recently, is this testing out coils, motion, versus the energy to actually make it spin versus the energy you can kind of pull off. And that's why I was keeping these separate. This is meant to be a manual alternator, but I was doing tests for, I don't even know if I had one up here. For like one of these, a micro motor, like these things are like the size of my fingertip compared, and this would turn it. And that's kind of what led to the rest of this. Is there's something off between the energy needed to spin the bar and what you can actually pull off of the spinning. And these are two separate kind of things, but we've kind of joined them into one. And I think that's where our issue really lies. The spinning bar by itself creates its own closed system. And what's powered on here can only be generated by what is actually flowing. But that's independent of the energy that's needed to spin the bar. So when this stops, regardless of how much energy you're putting in to spin the bar, this will work, and you can increase it as much as you want, as long as you're using all the energy and you're not really resisting any of it. So the more you let through, the more it will just power in that little closed system. Now from here, I want to move it over to the transformer and magnify it. From here, after it's on this side, coming off, any resistance it meets on this side will not affect going forward anymore. So this will always be a steady, whatever I set it at, 120, 150 volts going out. That 150 volts will always be steady. This can be resisted as much as it won't without affecting this one. So in this closed system, to the bottom of this, it can work off 12 watts. And then everything off this, after we magnify it again, so everything off this after we magnify it again, can be resisted, can be used, and it won't matter because it's separated again. Every time we separate it, we're creating another closed system. And it only works when those are spinning. This only works when this is getting energy. This will only work when we're sending an when we're magnetizing the ferrite core. And that requires the electricity from that. There's a series of motions, but we can't have something without nothing. But it's, once you get it started, you can magnify it in multiple ways and use it in different ways. And as you see, this has been kind of going, it's steady, so I'm just gonna turn this off. Now, to kind of make sure that everybody sees everything, I'm gonna, so my supply is hooked up to my motor directly. The motor is just attached by a plastic piece to a rod that spins the bar. And that is just levitating from magnetics. And then the coils inside these two rings are fed down, and that's where our readings are from. And they go straight into the LEDs in series. So all of that is just one system. And you've seen how we use it. Now, even without that gone, this is still generating. It's just kind of winding down. So over time, I'm still getting things too. So that has to be considered. Because this motor doesn't actually have to run, and that's what I'm going to be testing sometime later, is if I turn this on for a minute, turn it off for 10 seconds, turn it on for 10 seconds, turn it off for 10 seconds, turn it off. Can I maintain some sort of regulatory speed where I get maybe 100 watts constant out, where it's not the max speed and not the lowest speed, but above 100, so I can resist it down to 100 and get that steady 100 output and kind of things like this. So I just wanted to clarify what's kind of going on with that. Now, moving on, I also want to re-clarify. Copper wire is not magnet wire. This will not do what this is doing. If you want to look, it's... This is... I don't know if you can see through here. But it's 28 gauge, and there's about 10,000 feet on this one. And then this is what's known as a LaPointe array. A LaPointe array, I don't know how you pronounce it, but a LaPointe array. And this will actually increase output on one side from the other. It's kind of a neat thing. This is, I don't remember what gauge this is. This is like 16 gauge over here. So these are not just copper wire. Magnets, generators, alternators, all those things use a special kind of wire. They have a coating on it. Is it copper in the middle? Yes. But these are specially made for this kind of stuff. This is not. So I see lots of videos where you just see copper wires. No, it's not copper wire. It is magnet wire, and there's a big difference for that. Next is, these are just regular, the neodymium magnets. I shared that in a different video earlier, and I don't think I still have the case for it. So all of this, even these are neodymium magnets, and my stabilizers to keep it in the center. So all that's neodymium. This is a ferrite core. It's kind of what we use in transformers. When an electrical signal goes through this side, it magnetizes the whole thing. So then this magnetizes, and any windings over here start getting alternating an electrical signal, just like over here, and you get your output again, and you get your flow. I also have the three-way parts going, and then that stuff. And then, let's see, what else have we been going over? Some things I haven't gone over yet is pendulums that are off-centered with a downward push. You can actually think of a swing and what happens when somebody's swinging and you give them a downward push only on the downward side. What happens on the other side? It goes over. It goes up higher. So when this happens, you can get it back up over the bar. So these are things that I'll be kind of going over with later. Some other thing was, let me make some room right here real quick. One of the things was this. What this allows, let me kind of pause this and get this set up real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, now this is something I shared before. I never really went over it much. I've been kind of having a lot to go over. There's a reason for all this, and it has nothing to do with this stuff. It has to do with some stuff in the real life, by real life, that I'm dealing with. But as you see, when you pull this, get this close enough, it will just kind of pull towards it. Straight line, just like you'd expect. Let me just move this over a little bit. This isn't a strong magnet, or I don't have one up here that can work better. And this is what you'd expect, right? Just it kind of getting attracted. That's what magnets do. Now, where do I set that stuff? Now we're going to add and extend it. Now, when we put it back in the same spot, it wants to spin. It no longer wants to go straight. This might work better if I only use one. It always wants to spin. And it no longer pulls straight in. See, all I gotta do is flip it around so it's this way. I gotta go try to get closer. And when I release my finger straight up, it just spins. I'll let you show you the end. See how it wants to just spin out of my fingertips? You can actually force the motion to spin instead of straight lines. This is also stuff we'll be covering. On top of stuff like this is using field geometry to cause a specific kind of motion. When we added the extra magnets, this is no longer center. So it's actually off balance. And most of my focus has been on imbalanced systems. And in a lot of this stuff that we use today, we try to balance them. We use, for electric motors, something that will equal the amount. and that gives us reliability, but it's not necessarily needed or necessary. And our need to equate some equations and make things kind of equal instead of imbalanced, we lose some of that natural kind of stuff. So instead of, it should be rolling towards it, but it's not. It's just spinning. And that's kind of the weird thing. And it's these little odds and ends that we get that mean a lot. Now, on top of that, I have been kind of working on an AI and some other stuff, and I'm going to be going over kind of how to do that. Now, on the AI, I'm kind of skipping around while I do this. I'm going to show how to kind of... All right, so mine is a little different. It designs chips. It designs its own simulations. It kind of learns on its own now. It has Blender and everything, and everything's on offline. My stuff is all offline. It's on a normal store-bought computer, so anybody can use. It can do everything from advanced physics and actually walk you through proofs, to running programs, doing cryptography, from all of it. So no, I don't update anything because it never goes online, so I don't care. I will show how to set these kinds of things up and kind of go over them. I get better results from this myself than most stuff. Like, I get longer, better answers, and this is just nothing really. It's just telling me what it needs to kind of keep moving or do something, and then if I get it or not, it'll just keep going in the background. So these are kind of things that I'm going to be kind of going over with everybody. I don't know if I'm going to release my whole model yet, but I will show how to do some of this. I'm not going to get into going back and kind of the whole process of it. I've trained mine with very specific rules, so it can't do things, but then again, I still don't trust it, so I just don't put it online. I just use it for what it is. So we're going to be going over that. And then the last thing I've had this thing working on is photonic chips. I've been training it on these things and how to make it. This is a very basic, this is the first one I gave it to make it, to let it learn its own path. I'll be posting stuff like this. This has LEDs, 4 sensors per LED to give basic kind of how you can split signals and use it in different ways and assign different things and kind of do it that way. I gave all the labels for everything, so you should be able to kind of, anybody can label this and kind of connect the paths they want and use it the way they want it to. So I've had it been learning on this and using it for simulating quantum computers, for this being a 4-state qubit or multiple other things. And it's been kind of doing these things, but I'll be releasing stuff like this. And this is a very basic kind of model of it. So I'll be getting that in. And then, let me think, what else haven't we covered? So that is the alternator, beginning of motion with magnetics, the AGI, or not actually just making an AI that can actually kind of do stuff for you and design stuff for you. Because it can do electronics, chips, it does all the tests, runs them, gets your verification, all that stuff for you too. Plus it has all your physics stuff, so it can also help with that and check your math and do all that stuff. It has a couple of my other theories in there, so it's been learning on those too. I do want to get there was one other thing I wanted to touch on, and that was anti-gravity. And I'm going to be showing some new kind of things. And one of them is a new way of kind of quantum computing. It goes beyond photonic computing, and it has a lot more involved. I was in a car accident a long time ago, and I'm in court, and I was ordered to kind of give my demonstrations to the other people. And part of my work is this, and some of these releases. So I wanted to make some simple demonstrations for people to understand how we do some things. And I wanted them to be able to come over and just spin the bar themselves, where they can just do it very easily. It's not hard at all. Take the motor off and there's no resistance. Right now that's causing the resistance. But there's a lot of other stuff that I'm going to be releasing. There's a bunch of simulations and stuff I'm working on that require some higher processing chips and some of this other stuff. But we'll be getting into all this over January and February. I actually have a trial in March, and this is kind of what everybody's going to be seeing and going over. So that's kind of what's going on, and I'll keep posting. And if you ever have questions or want me to run a test on something, or maybe there's something that you find weird, or you see something I've missed that in all this that you would like a test for, you can just kind of write in the comments and I'll try to get it done. There's a lot of stuff we're going to be covering over this next month, and a lot of new concepts and a lot of new ways of doing things and looking at things. So I just wanted to give everybody an update about what's coming. I know it's Christmas, so everything's kind of slow with kind of getting parts and doing this stuff. So I'm just kind of not going to really commit to anything till after Christmas. So I'll get stuff posted here and there when some stuff comes in and I can do some more tests. And I'm going to get this started. And once the rest of that stuff comes in, I'll get it finished. Because the only thing I can do right now is just roll it, wrap it. Not much else. I'll get some more coils wrapped. That's pretty much all I can do in the meantime. And then I will keep posting.